Almost everyone remembers the specific panic of being a kid in the dark, that sudden certainty that something is right behind you, and the desperate sprint down the hallway to reach the absolute safety of a parent's bed before it catches you. For a young boy named Hedar, that panic was an every-night reality. His imagination worked in overdrive, turning every creaking floorboard into an approaching footstep, and every stretched shadow into a physical threat. His only defense mechanism was retreating to his grandmother's room. Buried under the heavy fabric of her blanket, listening to the rhythmic sound of her breathing, he could finally shut out his own anxiety and fall asleep. When a child is so easily paralyzed by imaginary dangers, it raises a difficult question. If they can't handle a bump in the night, how will they ever react when a real threat actually materializes? Hedar's father thought he found the answer in the evening newspaper. He called his son over to read a dramatic headline about another local boy who had been walking alone through the woods. Out of nowhere, a wild tiger had lunged onto the path. But the boy in the story didn't scream or freeze. He calmly grabbed a branch, pulled himself up into a tree, and waited patiently for a rescue party. This represents what we'll call idealized bravery. It outlines the societal expectation of what courage looks like, built on 3 pillars: absolute stoicism, clear logic, and the complete suppression of panic. Pointing to the article, Hedar's father laid down a challenge. He wanted his son to demonstrate this exact kind of courage by spending 1 full night alone in the dark, empty office room at the end of the hall. This challenge focuses entirely on the environment. The father is testing how well Hedar can manage a silence that is technically safe, measuring his son's ability to stay calm when there is nothing actually there to fight. Hedar tried to endure the test. He lay stiffly on the small bed, surrounded by an isolation so quiet it almost hurt his ears. Without the sensory anchor of his grandmother's room, his mind began filling in the blanks. The coat rack became a looming figure. A passing car's headlights turned into scanning eyes. His anxiety spiked. He couldn't do it. With the lightest, quietest footsteps imaginable, he abandoned the challenge entirely and slipped right back under his grandmother's blanket. As the rest of the household drifted off to a peaceful sleep, the verdict seemed clear. Hedar had failed the test. This highlights a common assumption, that failing a manufactured, planned test of courage means you are unprepared for the real thing. It treats fear as something that must be defeated before danger even arrives. Deep into the night, the sterile test ended, and a real threat began. A figure pried open a window at the edge of the house, stepping quietly over the sill. The intruder moved carefully through the dark hallways. Every adult in the house, including the father who praised the Tiber boy's stoicism, slept right through the break-in. Inch by inch, the thief navigated the pitch-black rooms, reaching into the exact dark corner where a terrified little boy was tucked beneath a blanket. There was no time for logic. There was no stoicism. His survival instinct instantly took over, and he clamped his teeth down onto the intruder's hand with every ounce of his strength. The intruder screamed in agony. Lights flicked on, doors flew open, and the entire neighborhood woke up at once, trapping the intruder before he could take a single self invisible. The thief was looking for a house full of sleepers, not a set of teeth waiting in the dark. When the dust settled, the police had their man. And in the middle of it all sat Hedar, trembling on the bed, eyes wide with panic, looking nothing like the hero in the newspaper article. A realization struck his father. On one side, you had the celebrated boy in the story who climbed a tree to escape danger. On the other, his own terrified son who actively neutralized a criminal. What we see here is realistic bravery. It is the ability to act decisively to protect yourself, even while being completely consumed by panic. As the story moved through the neighborhood, the focus shifted. People stopped talking about the stoic boy in the tree and started talking about the terrified boy who caught a thief from under his blanket. We spend a lot of time measuring courage by how well people hide their anxiety during false tests. We tend to ignore what their instincts do when a threat materializes right in front of them. Bravery does not require the absence of fear. It is simply the messy, desperate refusal to be a victim when the dark finally reaches out for you.